Welcome, Nadine. Great to be with you. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I've been really excited to dive into this. For starters, just how are you going? What are your perceptions of what's going on in the world right now? How are you and your family doing? Let's just start from there.
Sure. Sorry, my sound went out for a second, but it's
Okay.
back. Can you,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Can you reframe the question for me?
Yes, please. Just
Yes.
want to connect with you on a personal level for starters. How are you perceiving the current world situations? How are you and your family doing?
Yeah, well, it's definitely interesting times. And definitely there's a lot of, it's uncomfortable and a lot of people are suffering out in the world for sure. But right here, we're actually doing well. And, I really feel like a lot of the decisions that I've made in the past 20 years are very much serving me right now. From moving to our beautiful home in the country, in the forest, so we've got a lot of space around us. Our Living Libations headquarters is just a 15-minute walk through the woods. So it's all good. And we actually, because of the fire that we experienced 7 years ago, we had to rebuild and build this building, right, to recover from the fire. So we've been in there for 2 years, and I'm super thankful that that was all constructed, before, and we weren't mid-construction, and that building is really serving us right now. And also from living here, I've really set up a life where, it's like a little village here. And I often, throughout the years, will go months and months at a time without leaving the land.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, so actually right in my day-to-day life, not much changed at all. And so I just feel like I was able to ground into that stability, and then hopefully I can be stable for others at this time.
Wonderful. You're in Ontario, are you?
Yes, in Ontario, Canada. Yeah.
Close to my heart. I spent a few years living in Ontario, and
oh, wonderful. Where did you live?
Mainly between London and Toronto, but I did get to explore quite a bit, and I just love it there.
Oh, that's so nice. So we're up north of Toronto near the Muskoka area. So with all the lakes and the forests and stuff.
Yeah, I've been around there. It's gorgeous. But it's going to be great to pick your brain a little bit right now with what's going on in the world. And, there's so much panic and fear of the unknown, the uncertainty. We're 5 or so months into this, yet there doesn't seem to be much talk about true health and wellness. I keep hearing a little bit in the mainstream, like, not that I spend much time listening to the mainstream, but I do like to just plug in a little bit to see where the whole world is kind of seeing from. And there's a little bit of talk about the necessity of vitamin D, but I don't think as much as what should be. So that's a big part of what you've been all about, is the power of the sun and reconnecting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, I mean, that'll probably take up the whole conversation.
It could.
Sun alone, but I mean, we've been scared of the sun collectively for so long. I mean, we're in Perth, Western Australia, which is one of the sunniest places in the world. Yeah. A lot of the, you could say, baby boomers have went from probably overdoing the sun, the baby oil thing, and just getting fried like a lobster. And maybe they overdid it. I don't know, but there's a lot of skin cancers and a lot of fear of premature aging and all that. So most people tend to not get any sun, every bit of sun protection they can get. And what are you feeling is the optimum way? I mean, I know what you're going to say pretty much, but just for our listeners, I know it's still pretty challenging to reframe our appreciation for the sun, because it's just so thick, the fear of the sun. So you take over. Where are you at with it?
For sure. Yeah, it is thick out there with the sun. And so there's a lot to unlearn, undo. And, I'm not surprised that we're not talking about health on a global scale through media. On some levels, obviously you can find the health talks if you're looking for that. But because it is important for this time to think about our health, but I don't think that we're used to getting health directives from governments anyway. And I think sometimes when there is a directive, it kind of backfires. If you think of like even Michelle Obama's campaign to have organic food and organic garden in the White House was challenged a lot, and she kind of had to like tailor it back because of lobbying and that whole system. And we've also been lobbied into a loss of sunlight through, definitely through, we don't have to go into that, but there's, chemical industries that are involved, and there was stakes in the game of promoting sunscreen for all that time in those decades. So hold on a second, I just lost you on my screen. There, okay. So yeah, we've been totally lobbied into this loss of sunlight, and there's been a lot of fear. And you mentioned the 60s and stuff. I wasn't around then, but I do feel like those times that you were talking about was definitely sort of around when I was growing up. But then I think more of that, then sunblocks were really invented by that time, and then it just became like apply, apply, apply. And yeah, and I remember tanning with baby oil and swimming in chlorine pools, and then that combination. So what we need to know is that, the chemicals that we've been baking into us via the sun is not a good idea. And those chemicals there's a lot of statistics that show, liver toxicity, endocrine system issues, which can lead to fertility issues and all of that. So there's definitely an issue with the toxic ingredients. But the main issue with applying sunscreen is that it separates the UVA and the UVB rays from each other. So then what you're absorbing is just the UVA without its ultraviolet partner UVB. And that on its own causes sun damage. And so there's a lot of studies in my book that I cite, even from the New England Journal of Medicine and different things that are, even the Cochrane Review, which collates a few reviews and then tries to find the common findings and stuff, just showing, and I'll be general right now, but that sunscreen application does seem to increase our risk of skin cancer and freckling, and that other studies show that living closer to the equator, spending more time exposed to recreational sun, decreases our chances of melanoma, which again, we can't, the skin cancers are varied, and melanoma can be fatal, whereas a basal carcinoma is not so fatal, is not fatal, but you know what I mean? So there's a spectrum there too, and each study looks at different things, but just like that information alone, and where they found where there was issues with developing skin cancers is more with our exposure to fluorescent lighting. And that study was actually conducted long before the workforce was staring at a computer screen all day. And our exposure to blue light and all that stuff. So that's not even taking into account those evolutions. So then when we just receive the UVA rays, because got the sunscreen all over us, then we're not getting any UVB, and UVB is what's going to create the vitamin D. So there you are, spending time in the sun, not really achieving anything except some negative effects. And when you're also sitting in the sun that way, you turn off your body's sort of alarm system, and you're not seeing the signals that your body would say, hey, time to get in the shade or time to leave the sun. So that's important too. We need to be in touch with that. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff that the relationship between our skin and the sun is creating that we know a lot about, but I think there's going to be other gifts that we're going to discover. But right now we know that it is good for our circadian rhythms. It is good for us to receive sunlight through our eyes, to supercharge something in the center of the brain, which is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. We also know that it generates vitamin D. And we also know that it creates antimicrobial peptides, and that sort of when the sun was having a different heyday, which is sort of at the turn of the century to about the 1940s, where you're starting the century in 1902 with Niels Feinstein winning the Nobel Prize for heliotherapy, sun therapy, light therapy, healing different diseases. I can't remember specifically what, I think it might have been tuberculosis in those days. And then, you know, so that's at the turn of the century, 1902, and then up into the 40s, and you've got even like Mademoiselle Coco Chanel saying no outfit is complete without a tan. And then in the between, there's like in the 20s, you've got these clinics in the Alps that are all about sunbathing, where people come from all over Europe to clear like rickets and bone diseases and wounds and tuberculosis, to the spas, like where they have ocean spas, are sort of the beginnings of naturopathic clinics, where sun therapy was very recommended, and fresh air therapy, and really engaging with the elements, which is what I really talk about in my book, Renegade Beauty, which is also why the sun is so key, because it is, we wouldn't be alive without it. So that's got to be our first clue, you know, that it might be necessary. And then the other thing is really our skin. What we aren't taught is that our skin is designed to be exposed to the sun's rays. We have thousands of vitamin D receptors all over our body, just waiting to be brimming with what we're calling vitamin D, which is actually this, it's like a precursor hormone. And it creates a very healthy cholesterol sulfate in the body. We've got the generation of the antimicrobial peptides, which are helping your immune system. And even within those peptides that you're creating, there's one specifically called LL37 that's generated more with more exposure to the sun, which is a type of cathelicidin. And we know that this peptide, which can also be, it's also like a medicine you can get. It's like it's a peptide. So those are also available as a biologic medicine. And what that specific peptide is showing is that it is good. It has a proven track record for reverse RNA viruses. It has shown to clear, like there was a simple study done, I think it was about 30 to 50 people that were all going to be passing away from sepsis, which is a 50% death rate anyway. So it's once you have it, it's pretty intense. And they were all given that peptide, and I believe they had a 100% success rate. So when we can generate this, you know, with our own engagement with the sun, and also if we just tune in, we know it feels good. You know, there's just that feeling and that warmth on the skin. Of course, you know, you don't want to get burnt, but it is better for the body to process a burn than it is for your body to be slathered in 6 hours of sunscreen. Right. So that's, your body's also designed to deal with burns. Now, it's not something we want to do repeatedly, but the DNA is all there to deal with it.
Interesting. Would you agree that it's, to really get the most from the sun, it's quite a holistic shift in the body? So for example, if one is like dehydrated, they got crap over their body, you know, spray tans, shitty deodorants, you know, all that's been normalized. They're most likely not going to be in an optimum state to soak up the benefits of the sun.
Yeah, I mean, so, definitely, like, you don't want to be baking it in.
So kind of like I think of ourselves kind of like a plant almost. Like if a plant is in, like, if a plant's in shitty soil, you know, they're not nourished, it kind of gets fried from the sun, doesn't it? Yet when it's nourished and hydrated, it flourishes. It seems like we're quite similar. Would you agree? Yes, and I know for some of the tips that I have for interacting with the sun and with wise interaction, you want to be hydrated. You know, so if your hydration is normally like Coke and coffee, that's pretty dehydrating. So you want to, and then also when you're eating foods with a lot of pigments, there are studies that show that creates an internal sunscreen, like literally you're protecting yourself from the inside out. So yeah, if you're eating all the white food, drinking all the diet pop, and then applying like oxybenzene coated sunscreen on your body, we just don't know that chemical cocktail. Or maybe we do, because people, you know, maybe it's just manifesting in something else down the road. But we spend a lot of time in Hawaii, and
oh yeah, so do we.
Yeah, did you notice the campaign of trying to ban that?
Yeah,
because it's showing that it could be one of the main issues of.
It is the main.
Yeah,
it's the main issue for bleaching the reefs, which is causing their death, which is a huge issue over with your Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Yeah, I don't know how successful it. I mean, it's great because it's giving awareness. I don't know how it's monitored, but
sure,
it's great. It's a great development.
Yeah, awareness is key because, again, it's been normalized. I mean, you go to any of those popular beaches and the spray-on sunscreen.
Oh,
you can just smell it from a mile away.
Smell, totally.
Yeah. So the wrinkle thing. So it's another thick conditioning that it's just the automatic assumption generally is that we get wrinkles from the sun. So what's that?
Doctors in the 20s and 30s were actually would prescribe the sun to clear up acne, eczema, and to prevent wrinkles because they saw with the action of the sun that there's actually a plumping. And what we also know now with vitamin D and the cholesterol sulfate is that it's actually lubricating from the inside out.
Right.
So that is a misnomer. Again, what we're putting on our faces and then being in the sun with, and sunscreen. From the studies from the Cochrane review, it's showing that it's creating the things we don't want, which is, it's that layer that's adding to, and also age spots and all of that actually comes from, having diets really super high in they're not synthetic, but the PUFAs that are the polyunsaturated fatty acids of Mazola, canola, and them. So that's not synthetic, but it's, completely processed. And then you've got rancid omega oils in your cells, and studies show that that's actually the biggest cause of hyperpigmentation, melasma, age spots, which is that group of, the brown patches on the skin. The other thing is too, when we're just getting the UVA, again, that's age spots. That's what that's doing. You can kind of get so if you're in front of a window, you're only getting the UVA, you're not getting the UVB. So people that are, driving a lot in their cars, and then there's that one arm that's always getting exposed to sunlight, and you'll see a lot more freckles on it. That's because it's just the UVA.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening and they've been avoiding the sun for however long, but it's ringing a bell, they're hearing what you're saying, you would suggest most likely to intelligently build up. You wouldn't then go, okay, sun's good for me, let's go.
5 hours, let's go. No.
And so, because too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So
exactly, just like water or whatever. Yeah. So building it up. I write about it in my book. We also have a couple of articles on our website that will take you through some simple steps. But you want to start slowly and surely, and hopefully you can start in the spring. So you all could just be starting right now and soon in Australia. And then you're building it up. It's almost by July, right now, I'm not really getting that much sun because it's super hot, or I go out early in the morning. But I've already built up the tan, which the tan's really just the signifier that you're ample in the vitamin D. So that's really key. There's also a vitamin D, there's a D Minder app. So you can put in where you are, because it also, the sun, everybody's going to be different for how much time they can spend in the sun, depending on your ancestry and your genetics and where you live and the weather and all of that. So the D Minder, you put in your location, and then it works with the weather that day. And it literally tells you okay, today you need 20 minutes to get X amount of vitamin D. So that's a great app for that, for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then, eating pigment-rich foods in the sun, because it is our form of photosynthesis. It's great to drink chlorophyll in your water, amplify your minerals like iodine and magnesium, which are just going to be great anyway. And then what's so important about vitamin D is that it ushers the minerals into the bone. So it's also very important to have ample vitamin D and K2 for dental health and bone health. And what those nutrients do is then when you're getting your magnesium stuff from foods, they're driving those minerals into the bone where you want them, instead of the magnesium just staying in the bloodstream, because you want it to keep building up the bone density as well. And our bones have a really strong connection to the sun. And it's something that Egyptians knew as well. They would actually shave men's heads so they got more exposure to the sun in youth. And apparently their skulls were a lot hardier that they found when there was a battle between two, and then they went to go visit the battle site where there were skulls, and the people they were battling against, which I feel like is Persian, I talk about it in my book. Anyway, their skulls would just like disintegrate, and the Egyptian skulls were still pretty hardy.
Interesting.
You could throw rocks at it. Yeah, it is. It's really neat.
I just had a vision, you know how we're born with like the shallow top of the head, like the crack, and then it slowly forms and like really beaming the sun right through that little crack, right into the brain, right into the
let the sun shine in.
Cool. And oils, so of course many people would have overdone the whole baby oil thing,
myself included. Now that's actually, speaking of sun damage, since I've been really enjoying the sun since my 20s, but I'd say it would be in the last decade that I was really focused on like, oh no, like this needs to be like a protocol, almost like exercise.
Right. And
I don't have any, any sun damage from that moment. It's just right, maybe here and stuff, just literally from when I was a teenager though and stuff.
Right.
And, using the tanning stuff and then getting burned with that, thinking that I was okay. So but nothing is from the new times. And I also, I've converted a lot of people to enjoying the sun with so much thanks. And really at this time, it's so important because there are studies that show that if you are sufficient in vitamin D, and I don't remember all the numbers, but it's most likely that you wouldn't catch anything going around. But if you do, it's not going to be as severe. And it apparently is showing that people that are getting affected by it the most are completely deficient in vitamin D. So it is something we want to embrace, and it's free, and it's cheering, and it's happy, and it's, and it's meant to be. We're designed for it. But if wrinkles are freaking you out, then, just wear the hat and then just do the rest of your body, and the back and the sides, and really enjoy it.
And I was just about to talk about particular oils that can help us. So would you agree that we can like build up our skin's resilience through like the inside, but also like, raspberry seed oil, even carrot seed oil is high like
and that's
resilience.
So we make a beautiful you can use oils like even olive oil or coconut or beautiful jojoba. They'll all give you about like what is an equivalent to about like a 7, 8, 9 in an SPF factor. But it's only like kind of equivalent because SPF is a whole system and it's just designated for synthetics. And they've been tested in their own way to designate that. So it can be like a metaphor, but it's for chemicals. And so I think of them more as like sun harmonizing factors.
Yeah, cool. I like that.
So they will, they'll be really good for your skin in the sun. And then if you got something like raspberry seed, what it does, sometimes people mistake it because it shows it could be equivalent to like a 25, but it's kind of working in a different way. And it seems to have, more, it's because of the spectrums in the plant that can help. If you need to block, we make our Everybody Loves the Sunshine. We make an oil version, which has got all those rich pigment oils in the red raspberry seed and jojoba and carrot and geranium. And then we've got all the essences that also help to repair cellular damage from, anything. So they're the super powerful skin healers, scar healers, and, even sandalwood shows that it can, there's studies that show that and geranium works in a similar way, that it will actually inhibit cells from going down a malevolent pathway. It will literally bring abnormal cell activity back to normal. So these oils are not only good for during the sun, after the sun, but you can also focus them on areas that, need a little bit more love from any type of skin damage that has occurred. Then we take that formula, same one, and then we make a zinc formula. So what zinc does is it reflects the rays. So it's like bounces off your skin. So it's just a sunblock. So it is not an SPF factor because it's not on a scale. Like you're literally just like no tan. And but within the zinc realm of a zinc sunblock, there are better choices to make. And the purest form to get is a non-nanoized, non-coated zinc. And that is the purest form to get. And then that's what we use in our sun protection formula. But, you know, you could take any, you know, beautiful oil, olive oil, coconut oil, and then you could add about 20% zinc powder, and you've got your own block as well. The main thing too is to use really beautiful, high quality oils that won't go rancid. Right. So sometimes when I'm smelling natural sunblocks with zinc, I'm like, you know, maybe they used hemp or almond or grapeseed, and it's just rancid out of the gate. And you don't want to be applying rancid oils because then that's like free radicals, and that's not good either.
Yeah, I mean, your range, there's so much, it's so incredible. Much. So for starters, well done. And even the men's range, like quite often, you know, I'll be dipping into my wife's stash of amazing products, which yours are included. And often there's not much men's range, but you've really honed in on some incredible men's products, like the, what's one I love? Like the what is it? The pits for the
the Maverick.
Yes, the deodorant and the Palo Santo one. It's just exquisite, incredible, and even the lingam oil. I mean, wow,
yes,
cool. That's incredible.
Isn't the smell incredible?
Yeah. And guys, I mean, you got to give it a go. I often encourage guys to get in touch with their, you could say femininity.
Masculine side?
And even,
you know, you can use that all over your face, whatever. When I was making the product, I had a bottle here and I was about to have a massage. I'm like, I got to try it. So I just had the whole massage done with that. It's incredible aroma.
So good. So like after each shower, putting it on, and it's just so therapeutic. So well done. It's
Thank
really
you.
Incredible. And which brings me to the common experience. And I've seen, you know, family members doing this, dear friends, even people I think are like relatively aware and healthy, but it's almost automatic and normalized to, you know, put on the Rexona, the antiperspirant deodorant, the whole like half a bottle of hairspray,
hairspray,
and then the cologne. So like, I mean, even just one of them, like straight into the armpits with that crap. And I've had friends in the past and clients in the past that, you know, maybe they wear a suit all day and and they sweat a lot. So then they'll even get like a clinical, even prescribed deodorant to literally block the armpits. And then
Botox, I hear.
Right. Botox the armpits. Okay.
Yeah. It stops you from sweating, apparently.
And then I'll notice like after some months that they've got this unusual like flare up around here, and like almost like pimples, but not even, like just like the pores are just going crazy.
And probably more raw from the shaving there with the harsh creams, and then the aftershave. Yeah, you're right though. I forgot a lot of men do have a lot of redness there, irritation.
So, I mean, where do we start with that? So say if like people are just used to that, you know, if you put on your antiperspirant so you don't sweat out your suit or your dress for the day or whatever, like what are some good options if you legitimately like you stink out your suit within a few hours?
Well, the great thing is, I mean, it's 2020, so it's not like you just have to like forget, like if that's a toxic deodorant, so now I just won't wear one. There's a whole, once you just deny the whole drugstore reality, a whole banquet opens up with just like choices, I think, that are fit for like a king and queen, which is just so fun. So it's fun. You get off the drugstore stuff and you start having more fun. But the main thing is to look at the foundation of that. So is the shirt 100% cotton? Which is like, if you've got any poly in your clothes, especially your shirt, where you're sweating, that is just like immediate cause for body odor. So first of all, get that dress shirt 100% cotton, which will just have a whole different it's just a way better smell because it's not mixing with this, like you can just tell, like if you, or like even socks, okay, people with smelly feet, it's like, get them out of the polyester socks. Or if you're getting a lot of rashes and irritation and strange smells down there, it's just like, get out of the polyester underwear. So that's the starter. Like, what are the base layers? And then just literally let go of that old deodorant, try the new, you know, and the thing that's definitely, I feel like our poetic, there's a lot of natural deodorants out there, but definitely the poetic pits, which is something that I've, you know, it was invented here at Living Libations, and I've never seen anything like it. And it's so potent because it's a product that's architected differently. We don't just look at regular deodorant and then go, okay, here's the green version. It was just like made through a different thought system. And what I love is that pretty much guaranteed, everybody's like, oh my God, this works. Or, oh my God, I did hot yoga, and people are like following me going afterwards going, you smell so good. What is your secret?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just works. So you just start there. And I don't think skincare, I know we have a whole, you know, cornucopia of creations. But it doesn't mean, you know, it has to be even that complicated. I mean, you get your poetic pit, you got a best skin ever, cologne. You know, we make beautiful forest colognes that'll just have women, like, that's what I find also really interesting when men switch over, because they're like, oh, it's like a whole different magnetism, a whole different attraction factor.
That's true.
You know, even if the people in appreciating your aroma aren't fully into the natural world, it's just like so much more magnetism. So, I mean, that alone, forget about the synthetics, just do it for your own attraction.
Yeah, that I'm obsessed with frankincense, and your best skin ever frankincense is all time. It's so incredible. And it's like similar to like how a really good perfume kind of builds and morphs through the day in a beautiful way. It seems to do that as well. Same with the poetic pits, especially this Palo Santo one. Like, it's truly magnetizing. People are like, even like spiritually, you know how it's said, like, rather than trying to change other people, like, be the change you want to see in the world. It feels like it's a big way of like adding to that, like really adding to our frequency and elevating. So it's quite interesting, all the little ways we be the smell
you want in the world.
Yeah. But it's so interesting, like how it's been normalized to you know, like over sanitize, like
over sanitize, sterilize, and then also you've masked your whole pheromonal communication system, which I think is so important to connect on like who you're connecting with. I mean, sure, on an intimate level of like lovers, like choosing the right partner, you want to be able to know each other's smells. And again, pheromone stuff's happening on a subconscious level. So even if you're 10 feet away from somebody, you're getting pheromones and you're processing information you may not even know about. So yeah, why you want to be sanitized and sterilized and then sending out, you know, somebody else's corporate message, so to speak, that is nothing to do with your own glandular communication system. It's like, why turn that off?
Yeah, amazing. The hairspray thing, I mean, looking at you, you've got incredible hair, but
no hairspray.
So I mean, like thinking of a few people that, you know, grew up in the 80s, and they still actually love their very big hair and their voluminous hair. And they use hairspray to achieve that.
We used to take our hairspray and like, I remember you get it going and then you take the blow dryer at the same time and it would just be like
So how do you get such amazing hair? Like,
well, I definitely, you know, everybody's hair is different. Luckily, I think I had a good foundation with just some nice thick hair, but definitely I've been using my own shampoo since I was 22. I stopped all the chemicals in my hair, you know, even before that, but I definitely had a party in my teens with hair chemicals. But then I stopped it all. And then I think when it's healthy and when it's got a good relationship with the scalp too, then it's like, it's got its own bounce and all this stuff going on, because the stuff in shampoos and conditioners, I mean, it's getting really fancy, and there's polymers and like silicones, and like, there's even butane. I don't get how, but there's like butane in dry shampoo. Like, I don't get that, but we don't want to be putting that on our hair, because then it's drying it out. And it really is, you know, it's really connected to how you're receiving nutrients in your body, how you're processing hormones and all of that. So you really want to start with the insides, have a healthy scalp. And then when that stuff, like that I was just talking about, the polymers and all that stuff, it doesn't leave the scalp, you know, so you're getting this microscopic buildup that probably eventually becomes non-microscopic. But with the study of the microbiome, there's all kinds of really great research going on. And they did some really neat imaging. I can't remember the type of camera. It was kind of like a thermographic imaging. And they asked people to just sort of apply what they would normally, not shower for 5 days. And then they took the imaging, and you can see all the heat, the areas where all this stuff is still on their body, not being absorbed. Like sunscreen was just like not, you know, it's just sitting on the body. And it's similar now to, from studying the microbiome, we know that by washing our face with soap every day and the foaming cleansers and all that, that microscopic splinters of these surfactants that we think we need to be really squeaky clean, they're getting lodged into the stratum corneum, leaving microscopic splinters, like, and not getting rinsed off when you wash your face, and then just building up, leading to hyperpigmentation, eczema, irritation, dry patches, wrinkles, because it's messing with the system of our microbiome.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's huge for so many people. And even, even the concept of like our skin being it's a major organ, and what we're putting on our skin is pretty much, it goes in. It's like you're eating it. So, that's a big reframing for so many people. Again,
and it actually goes in a way that's often more detrimental than eating, because through the digestive process, we have acids and enzymes and the liver and kidneys to process things. But when it's on our skin, it goes right into the bloodstream. So it's like our transdermal capability, our ability to absorb things is kind of like a kryptonite. So it can weaken us, but also our transdermal absorption system can also be part of our advantage for health, because we can apply things to our body that actually boost our immune system, which is just kind of radical. Like, we're not just spraying on the cologne to smell good. And then we're not just finding one that's neutral and non-toxic. Let's go all the way and apply something that's going to smell great, make us happy, and infuse our immune system with like actual things that like boost, rather than taking away or make the liver deal with the toxins. Let's like give the liver some good news when we're putting on our cologne.
Yeah, for sure. And now onto dental care. What do you feel is the optimum approach for dental care? I mean, it's another assumption, like in the mainstream, the normal assumption that we need fluoride. What do you think is optimum nutrition? You spoke briefly about vitamin D being benefit for bone health, and what else can we do? And I know you've written about and you've spoken about, like, we don't actually need to go to the dentist. So please go there.
So to speak, Right. Like, I mean, hopefully, I'd love, if we can take care of things a lot better at home, we can go to the dentist a lot less.
Right.
Or use them for those moments. Or often we have to go to the dentist now so we can undo some past work, which is important. And then hopefully you're not going to have to go. So we kind of need to understand how to take care of our teeth on a daily basis in a different way. And I have this thing called Stop, Seal, and Seed, which you can apply, you can take that concept to your skin, but if you apply it to the mouth. And sorry, can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah, but it's beautiful. I love the homely vibes. It's good.
Well, I was going to let her in, but it's okay.
No, please do. All good.
Okay. You don't mind if I just pause for a second? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, good.
She
What a
wanted to
beautiful
join
dog.
in. Oh, you can see her?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, come
Gorgeous.
on. There we go.
Wow.
She is a beauty.
Wow.
I'm not going to let you outside now, though.
She looks
Okay.
young. Is she pretty young?
Yeah, she's about 3.5.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, Angel, we call her.
Hey, Angel.
She's a Samoyed.
Wow.
She's got a really thick coat. Hey. She's okay. So the teeth.
Yes.
Yeah. So stop, seal, and seed. So stop. So we want to stop again. You know what's called the drugstore stuff. You know, alcoholic mouthwashes cause about 36,000 cases of oral cancer a year, and that's something you can just Google. And so that's really messing with the microbiome because it's like, you know, and it's a synthetic alcohol too. So there's that. There's triclosan in toothpaste. There's even something that seems innocuous like glycerin actually coats the teeth. And then it's another kind of microscopic coating and it doesn't go away with rinsing. So then our saliva can't access the enamel and do its job. So you want to just like let go of all that stuff. And of course, we make beautiful oral care products and dental serums, but I like to tell people, like, I mean, just, you don't even have to do that right now. If you just got baking soda and sea salt, or really just baking soda, you can just replace all the, you know, paste and stuff with just simply baking soda. And if all you use for the rest of your life was baking soda, you'd be far better off than using the stuff at the drugstore. So really, that is good for anybody's budget. And yeah, so you can use the baking soda and water to alkalinize the mouth, to rinse, and then use it as a paste to scrub. And so it's super, super good, super easy. And it has that great alkalinizing factor. Plus it's something that our body actually produces. And as we age, it does decline in the body. So it's a beautiful substance. But you want to just ditch all the chemicals because it really does mess with the mouth's microbiome. And then if you do have receding and bleeding gums, they could be the cause of it. Like sodium lauryl sulfate is not good for gums at all. And then if you do have bleeding gums, then that is going into the bloodstream even quicker. So you want to, you know, just heal that. And then you want to think about sealing. So we need to seal. So if it is bleeding and receding, you want to, you know, take care of the bleeding. With our dental serums, people find that bleeding stops within a day for some people. The next brushing it's gone, or a couple of weeks. So depending on where you're at. And you can even take one of those dental serums, just one drop, slide it along your floss and floss with it, which is really great for the gum tissue in between. And then they're antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. So they're helping regenerate the tissue. They're, you know, doing their job to clean up pathogens, and yet they're also able to work with the friendly bacteria. So different than something like an antibiotic or an alcohol or a chemical that would just mess with the whole environment. There's a selective intelligence there. And now we're understanding that essential oils, many of the ones we've been using in dental care for thousands of years, like clove, cinnamon, frankincense, tea tree, cardamom, frankincense, mastic, cardamom, all these beautiful plants, we now know from studies that they're quorum sensing inhibitors. So it means that they literally can, you know, suppress the activity of pathogens and suppress their gene expression and them getting cohesive and into a group and starting to form biofilms. So it's just really neat to see what the sort of new scientific reasoning behind these ancient things that we've been, you know, naturally drawn to use for our oral care for thousands of years, which I just find totally fascinating. So you want to, you know, make sure you don't have any leaky gums, that kind of situation. And, you know, if you want to whiten, you know, use things like hydrogen peroxide and baking soda. And then you want to think about seeding, which is reseeding the guts and the mouth through diet, prebiotics, probiotics. You want to think of your body and your mouth as sort of being this, you know, bustling bacterial bank account that you want to keep with diverse investments and keep it going. And that's actually going to help keep the dentist and doctor away.
Beautiful. I just want to share a really potent combination I've been doing each
Oh,
morning.
yes.
And when the sun is out, especially, I'll combine. So I go for a cold plunge. I just kind of meditate.
Nice.
And our pool is actually a legitimate cold plunge pool.
Right on.
Very, very cold. So I'll just sit there and do some deep breathing and some breath work. And then when I come out, I'll just like either do sun gazing while the sun's at a good level, or just like let the sun onto my body while
Nice.
I oil pull. So for starters, do you think oil pulling can be a good combination for the dental regime?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's an article on our site if you just want a kind of a quick overview on why. And what you can do is also upgrade that oil pulling too. You could add some peppermint to there. You could add a prebiotic, a probiotic. You could add a little bit of magnesium oil, like a couple of drops. Charcoal, you could add to that. Nice. Yeah, lots of fun things.
And then after that, tongue scraping, which I find good as well. Learned that in yoga years ago. And
yeah, very good practice.
That. And then after that's all done, I'll just really like open my mouth and my eyes and just let the sun like through the mouth. And
yes,
it could just be my imagination, but I don't think so. Like really feeling the sun, like getting into places where we label like where the sun doesn't shine, you know.
Exactly.
Getting it on the butt, getting it on the genitals, getting it through the mouth, like just bathing in it. And it's such a great start to the day.
That's perfect. It sounds like a perfect start today. Also, we do have vitamin D receptors where the sun doesn't shine. And there's a quote, it's from Doreen Virtue, but she's quoting an anonymous Italian saying that I hope I'm right, but it is like, have the sun be where the sun doesn't shine. No, if you get enough sun in those areas, then you keep the doctor away or whatever. You keep the doctor, I don't know. Now I've lost it, but.
We'll pull it up. I'm curious. Yeah, for sure. And one other thing, with people really overdoing, well, maybe not overdoing, but being told they should constantly be using
hand washing,
hand sanitizers.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden there are just hundreds and hundreds of different hand sanitizing brands. And apparently I've heard some of them are using really rancid, toxic, alcohol bases that just shouldn't be used in that form. They're more of like a terps or
industrial sort of.
That's right.
You know, I don't even like using isopropyl alcohol anywhere. But yeah, it is really harsh. You know, funnily enough, we've been making masks and hand sanitizers for years. Right. Because I made the mask because when I travel, I don't want to smell.
Same here.
Anything.
I've worn it on planes for years. Huh?
Yeah, and it wasn't really about the germ thing. It's just like if I put it there too, and then we made it so we use vintage sheets on the outside. They're really fun, and then inside is an organic cotton. Cool. And you put the essential oils on there, and then you get to just be in a garden of like whatever. So I usually do like neroli and frankincense with little chamomile, and then I'm just like happy in my own little bubble.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I've made the mistake before of doing that, but with peppermint oil, but too much of it.
Oh yeah, just one drop.
It was on a long flight from here to LA, and literally burnt.
Oh,
it was
you know
really
what it sounds like though? That you didn't have pure peppermint oil.
Right, pure peppermint oil wouldn't do that.
You didn't. No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jen, that doesn't mean like once in a while somebody isn't allergic to something, but like our peppermint, you could have totally done that with, because peppermint is one, even though it's cooling and it can be quite because it's, you know, it's kind of like ice in a way, liquid ice. So it's definitely stimulating and tingly, but it should be able to go on neat, as they say, because it is also very useful to apply neat to things. It's like good for cleaning cuts, bites, all that kind of stuff. It just really cleans it up.
Cool. Good to know. And so you do hand sanitizers, huh? As well.
Yeah, and we use not only is it organic alcohol, but it's biodynamic. Right. So it's biodynamic, organic, and made from grape. So it's beautiful. That's what we use in our perfumes as well.
Cool.
And then we're also adding these beautiful antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral essential oils to the mix.
Yeah.
And
great.
it definitely isn't drying like chemical alcohols and stuff. It's again quality. It just is such a shortcut in a way.
Such a shortcut, and a common complaint from people that are used to shopping at, just the mainstream supermarkets is the
but
cost thing. So it's like, it's a reframing, isn't it? I mean,
it is, because I don't think that it's not a real cost. I mean,
yeah,
in the food industry, obviously so much disorder, but there's subsidies, there's like a whole bunch of stuff going down. And then really what I think we're kind of used to with products is this dilution factor in a way. Like there's always like filler. So it's kind of an illusion.
Yeah, right.
And then again, if your body has to take a toll from the petroleum derivatives and the chemicals, like what is that cost? Or the cost of the planet to make the product, and on and on.
But it seems to be shifting, like over the years.
Yes.
The collective perception seems to be shifting, which is really cool.
Yeah, because I think if that's a perception, it's really only going to harm us to think that, you know what I mean? If it's better for us and more freeing for us to shift some perspectives in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been so rich, and it's been so good picking your amazing mind and getting your perspectives on all that's going on in the world right now. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners before we wrap this up? Where can they get in touch with you and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, our site is Living Libations, and that's a whole portal there. My books are available on wherever books are sold. Renegade Beauty and Holistic Dental Health. We do have some lovely resellers in Australia, and I know one of them is Be Natural You, if that helps people at all. But we ship there every day.
Great.
To Australia, and then we're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all that fun stuff.
Well, Nadine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to connect.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. All the best.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.